Hello friends, today's topic of discussion is the Pteridophytes Part First, General Characters. This lecture gives us the detailed idea about habitat, habit, gametophytic plant body, sporophytic plant body, their anatomy, their spore producing structures, then alternation of generation. So, pteridophytes aspect I have divided in two lectures. First lecture is based on general characteristics and second lecture is based on the classification proposed by Sporne and economic importance of pteridophytes. Okay. So, first lecture, part first, general characteristics of pteridophytes. Now, this is the flow chart of classification of kingdom Plantae. This flow chart gives us idea the position of Pteridophyta or pteridophytes in kingdom Plantae. Okay, as you know that kingdom Plantae divides into two divisions. One is the cryptogams, another one is the phanerogams. Cryptogams are non-flowering plants, lower plants, and thalloid plants. On the contrary, phanerogams are the higher plants. They are the flowering plants. They are the advanced plants, and their plant body is the well developed. Okay. Now these cryptogams further divided as Thallophyta, Bryophyta, and Pteridophyta. Okay. There are three subdivisions of division cryptogams: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, and Pteridophyta. Thallophyta includes algae, fungi, and lichens. And there is another subdivision or another plant group, that is the Bryophyta. Now, one thing is very clear that from this classification, pteridophytes are advanced than Thallophyta, means advanced than algae, fungi, lichens, as well as advanced than Bryophyta. Okay, but they are primitive than the phanerogams. They are primitive than the gymnosperms as well as the angiosperms. So, position of Pteridophyta or pteridophytes in kingdom Plantae is they belong to division cryptogams. Okay, then they belong to subdivision Pteridophyta, and all pteridophytes, either fossil pteridophytes or living pteridophytes, all are included in the same group, that is the group Pteridophyta. Okay. Now the introduction about the Pteridophyta. First point, pteridophytes. What is the meaning of pteridophyte? Pteron means feather. Okay, and phyton means plant, means plants with feather like leaves. Okay, pteridophytes meaning is that pteron means feather and phyton means plant, that is plants with feather like leaves. Pteridophytes are cryptogams with well developed vascular system. Vascular tissue system means what? Conducting tissue system having xylem and phloem, and this tissue system is well developed or clearly distinguished compared to algae, fungi, lichen as well as the bryophytes. So internally or vascularly the pteridophytes are advanced than the Thallophyta, means algae, fungi, algae, fungi, lichens and bryophytes. Point second, they include most primitive living and fossil vascular plants and are also known as vascular cryptogams. And this Pteridophyta group is nothing but the union of living members as well as the fossil members. Number 3, they are represented by about 400 living and fossil genera, and some 10,500 species are there. So number of pteridophytic genera are 400. That 400 genera includes living members or living genera as well as the fossil genera, and the number of species is 10,500. Now the characteristic features of the Pteridophyta. Point number 1, the plant body is sporophytic. Now it is one of the important thing. The main plant body in the pteridophytes is the sporophytic, not saprophytic, sporophytic. On the contrary, in bryophytes, main plant body is the gametophytic. So this is the main difference between bryophytes and pteridophytes. In Pteridophyta, sporophytic plant body is the main. It is the dominant plant body. It is a long-lived plant body. Okay, but in case of bryophytes, gametophytic plant body is the main plant body, which is dominant plant body, which is long-lived plant body. And here sporophytic plant body is the independent. How it is independent? Nutritionally independent. It can synthesize its own food material with the help of photosynthesis, and this sporophytic plant body having the roots, and that roots absorb the water and minerals from the substratum. So point number 1, the plant body is sporophytic. So you should be very clear that sporophytic plant body is the main plant body, dominant plant body in the pteridophytes, differentiated into root, stem and leaves. And here in sporophytic plant body, the plant body is the well developed into root, stem and leaves. The mature sporophyte is nutritionally independent of the gametophyte, and a sporophytic plant body having the roots, and roots goes in the soil and they absorb the water minerals, and the aerial leaves they causes the photosynthesis, so that sporophytic plant body is nutritionally independent. Okay. Point second, most of the living pteridophytes are terrestrial. Terrestrial means what? They can grow on the soil substratum as well as different substrata present on the earth or soil. Okay, most of the living pteridophytes are terrestrial, growing in moist and shady places. Like the bryophytes, the pteridophytes are also moisture loving and shade condition loving plants, so that they can prefer the moist and shady places for their growth. Okay, some members are aquatic. Aquatic means what? They can grow in the water, and few are xerophytic. Xerophytic means they are growing in xeric condition. Xeric condition means water scarcity condition, means what? Where the water availability is very less. In such conditions means dry conditions, desert conditions. In such conditions these pteridophytes are can grow, so that their habitat is the xerophytic. Point number 3, primary roots are ephemeral. Ephemeral means in Marathi it is called as क्षणिक. क्षणिक म्हणजे काय? क्षणापुरती असतात, त्यानंतर ते बदलतात. एखादा विचार क्षणिक आपल्या डोक्यामध्ये येतो परत तो बदलतो, अशा विचाराला एफिमेरल म्हणायला काय हरकत नाही. प्रायमरी रूट्स आर एफिमेरल means here we consider meaning as they are not constant, they may be changeable, असा त्याचा अर्थ घ्यायचा. प्रायमरी रूट्स आर एफिमेरल and soon replaced by adventitious roots, and at the maturity these primary roots are converted as or replaced as adventitious root system. Number 4, most pteridophytes have herbaceous stem except some woody ferns. Some woody ferns are also observed, but majority the pteridophytes having the herbaceous stem. Herbaceous stem means what? Green, delicate, spongy stem considered as a herbaceous stem. Number 5, the leaves are scaly. Scaly means small scale like. Scale means small needle like, very minute like a needles. Leaves are scaly, small in structure, and sessile. Sessile means without stalk, or large. Petiolate. Petiolate means with stalk. Leaf having the stalk, so leaves are called as the petiolate, and leaves stalk is called as the petiole. Okay, and compound. On the basis of leaf structure, pteridophytes are classified into microphylous pteridophytes and megaphylous pteridophytes. Okay. In microphylous pteridophytes, leaves are very small. No doubt, suppose leaves are small, they may be simple. And in case of megaphylous pteridophytes, here leaves are large and showy. No doubt, they can be compound leaves. This is the general assumption. Okay. Number 6, the stem is usually branched. Stem having the branches as well as the sub branches, so stem is branched. The branching is monopodial or dichotomous. Both type of branching we have found in the pteridophytes, monopodial or dichotomous branching. Now this is the photograph. This photograph gives us idea different type of habit means plant body structure in the pteridophytes. First A diagram is the diagram of azolla. Then second diagram is the second diagram is the Selaginella. Then third D diagram is the equisetum. So then B is the Marcellia. Then C is the Selaginella. Then D is the equisetum. Then E is the Angiopteris, and F is the Isoetes. You see in the diagram, the each and every here this diagram gives us idea habit diversity of the pteridophytes. Here some are aquatic, some are growing in shady conditions, some are terrestrial. So in this way, variety of habit is shown by these photographs. So in this way, this is that there are variety of plant body structures in the pteridophytes. But on the example, as an example, here 4 to 5 types of habits are given. So this is about the plant body structures in the pteridophytes. Number 7. The root and stem have well developed vascular system. Vascular system is conducting system having the xylem and phloem. Composed of xylem and phloem. Cambium is absent. Here cambium means meristematic tissue which is absent, and hence they do not show the secondary growth. What is the use of cambium? Cambium is the meristematic tissue, so it causes the secondary growth in the angiosperm as well as the gymnospermic plants, and here cambium is absent, so that pteridophytes cannot show the secondary growth. Number 8. The stele is protostele, siphonostele, dictyostele or polycyclic. At the center of the stem in the leaves there is a vascular tissue system. The arrangement of xylem elements and phloem elements in particular manner, that structure is called as the stele, or the vascular tissue also called as stellar tissue. And this stellar or vascular tissue present in this region, in which region? That region is called as the stellar region. And this stellar region or this stele shows the lot of diversity in the pteridophytes, so that these different types of steles we can found in the pteridophytes. Number 9. The xylem is made up of tracheids. Trachid is the one of the element of xylem, and the phloem is composed of seed cells and phloem parenchyma only. In case of xylem, its element is the trachid, and in case of phloem, two elements are present: sieve cells or sieve tubes and phloem parenchyma. Number 10. The photosynthetic tissue is restricted mainly to leaves. So in case of pteridophytes, main photosynthetic organs are the leaves, and they causes the photosynthesis. Number 11. They reproduces by spores produced in the sporangia. Majority the pteridophytes are reproduces by spores, and these spores are develops in the sporangia. The sporangia are usually born on ventral surface of leaves. In case of megaphilous pteridophytes, toward the ventral side of the leaves, these spores are develops in the sporangia, and their group is called as the sori. But in some members, a fertile spike bearing sporangia arises from the axil of the leaves. Its example is the ophioglossum. But in case of ophioglossum or any other examples, the fertile spike is produced, and that spike having the many sporangia, and that sporangia produces the spores. Number 12. In aquatic forms, sporangia are present within specialized structures called as sporocarps. Example, Azolla marcellia. In case of leaves, in some pteridophytes, sporangia produce present on the leaves inside the sporangia. In some pteridophytes, the sporangia develops on the fertile spike. In some pteridophytes, these sporangia are produced or develops in the sporocarps. For example, aquatic pteridophytes means the spore producing structures in the pteridophytes shows lot of diversity in their size, shape, structure. Number 13. Plants are either homosporous or heterosporous. Homosporous means what? Single type of spores are produced by the pteridophytic plant called as the homosporous pteridophyte. Heterosporous means what? When the pteridophyte, any plant produce two types of spores, smaller size spores, larger size spores. They considered as microspores and megaspores. Such pteridophytes are called as heterospores. Example is the Selaginella, and homosporous example is the Equisetum. Number 14. The leaves bearing sporangia are known as sporophylls. When the sporangia develops on the leaves, such leaves are called as the sporophylls. Sporophylls with megasporangia are called as the megasporophylls, and with microsporangia are called as the microsporophylls. Suppose megasporangia are there, they produce the megaspores, means larger size spores, and suppose microsporangia are there, they produce the microspores and their size is smaller than the megaspores. Number 15. Sporophylls are either uniformly distributed or at aggregated in compound cones at the end of the stem. And here, in case of Equisetum, just we have studied that in case of Ophioglossum, there is a fertile spike or a fertile strobilus, and same thing is present in the Equisetum. Here also fertile structure, fertile strobilus or fertile cone is developed by the branches, and this is one of the modification of spore producing structure in the pteridophytes. Okay. Number 16. The spore wall is differentiated into an outer exine and inner intine. The spore having the two walls, outer wall is the exine and inner wall is the intine. Number 17. The spore on germination gives rise to gametophytic generation. Okay. When the spores are developed in the sporangia, when they are matures, sporangia will burst. After bursting sporangia, spores can liberated, and when they can disperse through different vectors. When they settle down on the suitable substratum under favorable conditions, they start germination, and after germination of spores, they produce the gametophytic plant body. It is also called as gametophytic generation. Gametophytic plant body means what? Gametangia producing plant body called as gametophytic plant body. Gametangia means what? Male and female reproductive organs or structures. Male gametangium antheridium, female gametangium archegonium. Okay. Number 18. Most of the homosporous species are monoecious. When homosporous means the spores developed by the plant all are similar in structure. Homospores. When these homosporous spores are germinate, they produce the monoecious prothallus. Monoecious means what? Antheridium and archegonium produced on the same thallus. That is the sexual differentiation in the plants. That is the monoecious or homothallic. Okay. When homosporous pteridophyte spore germinates, the monoecious prothallus is developed, and that monoecious prothallus produce antheridium as well as the archegonium on the same prothallus. Okay. Prothallus means what? This is the juvenile stage of the sporophytic plant body. Prothallus causes the Antheridia archegonia causes the sexual reproduction. Then zygote is formed. Zygote goes in multiplication. It causes the embryo, and from embryo, the sporophytic independent plant body can be developed. Number 19. The heterosporous species are always dioecious. When heterosporous pteridophyte is there, microspore is there, megaspore is there. Microspore germinates, it produces the male prothallus, it causes the antheridium. When megaspore germinates, it produces the female prothallus, and female prothallus produces the archegonium. Such sexual differentiation is called as the dioecious. Okay. Now see here the photograph. The photograph shows different types of sporangia develops in the pteridophytes. In first A diagram, on the leaves, A and B diagram, on the leaves sori are develops. Sori is nothing but the union of the sporangia, and in sporangia spores can be develops. In C diagram there is a fertile spike, and this fertile spike having the sporangia, and this sporangia produces the spores. In D diagram there is a xylotum, is xylotum having the special organ, spore producing organ called as the synangium. Okay, and in case of E diagram there is also spore producing organ, sporangia, produced at the tip. Example is the rhinia. So in this way, this is the lot of diversity in the spore producing structures or spore producing organs in the pteridophytes. Okay. Number 20. The sex organs are embedded in the prothallus or are projected. एम्बेडेड म्हणजे मराठीमध्ये आपण त्याला रुतून बसलेले म्हणतो, आत रुतलेले. द सेक्स ऑर्गन्स आंथ्रिडिया आर्चिगोनिया आर एम्बेडेड इन द प्रोथॅलस ऑर समव्हॉट प्रोजेक्टेड. प्रोजेक्टेड म्हणजे काय, त्या प्रोथॅलसमधून जरा बाहेर आलेले, त्याला आपण प्रोजेक्टेड म्हणतो. नंबर 21. द अँथ्रिडियम इज सराउंडेड बाय ए स्टराइल जॅकेट लेयर. द जॅकेट इज ऑलवेज सिंगल लेयर्ड. द अँथ्रिडियम इज सेसाइल or shortly stalked. In case of bryophytes and in case of pteridophytes, the characteristics of Anthridium archegonium is the same. Anthridium is the male gametangium or male reproductive organ which is covered by the sterile jacket layer. This is the unique characteristic of Anthridium as well as the archegonium present in the bryophytes and pteridophytes. Okay. And here this sterile jacket layer is the single layered. Why it is called as sterile? Because it is a protective. And why cannot call it as the fertile? Because this sterile jacket layer cannot produces the sperm, cannot produces the egg, directly cannot involved in the sexual reproduction. Just they are supporting structure, so that they are called as sterile structures. Okay. Now this Anthridium may be sessile. Sessile means without stalk or having small stalk. Number 22. The antherozoids. Antherozoids are also called as spermatozoids. They also called as the sperms. They also called as the male gametes. And here male gametes means antherozoids. Okay. The antherozoids are unicellular. They made by the single cell. Uninucleate. They having the single nucleus, which is the male nucleus and which is haploid nucleus. Okay. So antherozoids are always uninucleated and haploid and male structures, and spirally coiled with two apical flagella. And here flagella are spirally coiled and present at the apical region of the sperm. But they are multiflagellate in order Psilotails, Equisetails and Pteropsida. In some orders, these sperms or antherozoids or male gametes are multiflagellated structures. Number 23. The antherozoids are liberated by bursting of the antheridium. That is the common thing. Same thing also happening in the bryophytes. When antheridia matures, their wall will be burst, their androgonal cells will be burst, and these spores can be liberated. Number 24. The archegonium is differentiated into neck and venter. Archegonia are always flask shaped structure. Basal structure is the solan structure called as the neck. Called as the venter, and venter contain the venter canal cell. At the base there is a egg. Egg is called as the female gamete. Egg is always uninucleated, and which is the haploid nucleus and female nucleus. Egg is always uninucleated haploid female nucleus with haploid female nucleus. Okay. And upper neck-like structure is called as the neck, and that neck contains the neck canal cells, and the entire archegonium is further covered by the sterile jacket layer. Number 25. The neck is made up of 4 vertical rows of the neck cells. Neck having the neck canal cells, and their number is 4. and they are arranged vertically. Neck canal cells degenerate before fertilization and form the mucilaginous substance which attracts antherozoids towards the archegonium. Very interesting thing is that before the fertilization in mature archegonium, the neck canal cells, venter canal cells, they will be degenerate, they will be disappear, they will be dissolved, and the mucilaginous substance is develops, and this due to inner pressure of the mucilaginous substance, the cover cells can be loosened and mouth of the archegonium is opens, and due to that mucilaginous substance, due to chemotactic mechanism, due to that smell, the sperms or male gametes or antherozoids are attracted toward the archegonium, and they easily entered in the archegonium due to this mucilaginous or gelatinous substance. Okay. Number 26. Water is essential for the fertilization. The antherozoid and egg fuse to form a diploid zygote, which function as the mother cell of the sporophytic generation. When the sperm is entered in the archegonium, at that time sperm having the male nucleus, egg having the female nucleus. Sperm is the motile structure and the egg is the non-motile structure. So type of sexual reproduction is the oogamous. Oogamous sexual reproduction always takes place in between motile male gamete and non-motile female gamete. Motile sperm and egg fuses and diploid zygotic condition is develops in the archegonium. Okay, and this zygote goes in the further cell division. It produces the small embryo, and that from that embryo the sporophytic plant body can be develops. Okay. Number 27. The zygote divides to form embryo. Okay. Now alternation of generation in the pteridophytes. Just we have studied all these things. Just you can overlook this point. Number 1. Pteridophyte shows a typical heteromorphic alternation of generation. Sporophytic generation, later on gametophytic generation. Gametophytic generation alternate with the sporophytic, sporophytic alternate with the gametophytic. This is the life cycle pattern in the pteridophytes. Number 2. Morphologically distinct sporophytic and gametophytic generation alternate with each other in regular succession. Just we have studied this. Number 3. The main plant body is the sporophytic, which is the dominant, which is the nutritionally independent plant body. Okay, and forms a dominant phase in the life cycle. So dominant phase in the life cycle of Pteridophyta is sporophytic plant body. Generally we observed in the different type of sporophytes, different type of pteridophytes. For example, Nephrolepis fern, for example Adiantum fern. These are the most common pteridophytes occurring in the public garden, and that plant body is the sporophytic plant body, which is the main plant body, dominant plant body, then clearly observed plant body in the pteridophytes. Number 4. In homosporous species, the haploid spore germinates to form a small inconspicuous gametophyte called as the prothallus. In homosporous pteridophytes, when spores can be germinates, they produce the small gametophytic plant body which is called as the prothallus, and which is the always monoecious in condition, means male plant body, male reproductive organ antheridium and female reproductive organ archegonium produced on the single prothallus. Number 5. The male and female gametes fuse to form a diploid zygote, which is the mother cell of sporophytic generation. Just we have studied this. Number 6. In heterosporous species, the sex of the gametophyte is determined at the spore stage. Just we have also discussed this. Suppose in heterosporous pteridophytes, one spore is the microspore, another spore is the megaspore. Microspore germinates, it produces the male prothallus. Megaspore germinates, it produces the female prothallus. Male prothallus causes the antheridium and female prothallus causes the archegonium. Just we have observed this all things. Okay. Now the alternation of generation in the pteridophytes. The alternation of generation is starts with the sporophytic plant body. See, the A diagram. In A diagram or A life cycle pattern, which is the life cycle pattern of homosporous pteridophytes. Homosporous pteridophytes means the pteridophytic plant body produce single type of spore structure throughout its life cycle. म्हणजे त्याच्या जीवनामध्ये, त्याच्या लाईफ सायकलमध्ये ते फक्त एकाच प्रकारचे स्पोर तयार करतात, त्याला म्हणायचं, किंवा एक सगळे स्पोर एकसारखे असतात, त्याला म्हणायचं होमोस्पोरस टेरिडोफाइट. ओके, होमोस्पोरस टेरिडोफाइट काय करतात तर स्पोर तयार करतात, सगळे एकसारखे आहेत, जे जर्मिनेट होतात. ते जर्मिनेट स्पोर्स कसे आहेत तर हॅप्लॉइड आहेत. हॅप्लॉइड काय आहेत, स्पोरोफाइटमध्ये कोण आहे, स्पोर प्रोड्युसिंग टिश्यू आहे. स्पोरोफाइटमध्ये कोण आहे, एक तर सोराया असेल, एक तर फर्टाईल स्पाइक असेल, एक तर कोन असेल, एक तर स्ट्रॉबिलस असेल, वेगवेगळे प्रकार तुम्ही बघितलेले आहेत, बरोबर आहे. मग त्यामध्ये काय आहे तर स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू, दॅट स्पोरोजिनस टिश्यू गोज इन द रिडक्शन डिव्हिजन मिओसिस सो दॅट हॅप्लॉइड स्पोर्स कॅन बी डेव्हलप्स. आता ते हेटेरोस्पोरस टेरिडोफाइटाच्या बाबतीत तसंच आहे आणि होमोस्पोरस टेरिडोफाइटच्या बाबतीत तसंच आहे. जे काय स्पोर तयार होतील टेरिडोफाइटमध्ये ते कसे असतात तर they are always haploid, they are always meiospores because they develops after the meiosis. आता स्पोर जर्मिनेट झाल्यानंतर काय प्रोथॅलस, त्याचंच नाव काय गॅमेटोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी. मग तो गॅमेटोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी काय करणार, आता गॅमेटोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी कशी आहे, हॅप्लॉइड आहे. का, जो जर्मिनेट झालेला स्पोर होता त्याच्यापासून गॅमेटोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी किंवा प्रोथॅलस तयार झालाय, तो स्पोरच मुळात हॅप्लॉइड होता, म्हणून गॅमेटोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी कशी हॅप्लॉइड. त्यानंतर मग ती गॅमेटोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी ती कुठं तयार होणार, जमिनीवर तयार होणार, साहजिकच आहे ना, टेरेस्ट्रियल हॅबिटॅटवर तयार होणार. आणि त्यानंतर त्याच्यापासून अँथ्रिडियम आर्चिगोनियम तयार होणार. अँथ्रिडियमपासून स्पर्म ऑर स्पर्मॅटोझॉइड आणि आर्चिगोनियमपासून एग, दोघांचं फ्युजन झाल्यावर डिप्लॉइड झायगोट. आता इथं डिप्लॉइड झायगोट काय होतो तर सेल डिव्हिजनमध्ये जातो आणि तिथं मिओसिस न होता डायरेक्ट स्पोरोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी तयार होते. म्हणून टेरिडोफायटामध्ये स्पोरोफायटिक प्लांट बॉडी आपल्याला डिप्लॉइड बघायला भेटते. आता सेकंड लाईफ सायकल कशाची आहे, हेटेरोस्पोरस टेरिडोफाइटची. त्यामध्ये फरक काय, दोन्ही लाईफ सायकल समान, फक्त फरक कशामध्ये, स्पोर्समध्ये. दिस टेरिडोफाइट इज द हेटेरोस्पोरस सो दॅट इट कॅन प्रोड्यूस टू टाइप्स ऑफ स्पोर्स, मायक्रोस्पोर्स अँड मेगास्पोर्स. ते मायक्रो असू देत किंवा मेगे असू देत, ते मिओसिस नंतरच तयार झालेत म्हणून ते मिओस्पोरच आहेत. ओके, मग त्याच्यापासून मात्र काय होणार, ते स्पोर जर्मिनेट झाल्यानंतर दोन प्रोथॅलस तयार होणार, मेल प्रोथॅलस, फिमेल प्रोथॅलस. त्यानंतर पुढची सगळी प्रोसिजर ही सगळीकडे समान आहे. ओके, सो इन दिस वे दिस इज अबाउट द अल्टरनेशन ऑफ generation in the pteridophytes, and this is the reference or this is the book I have used while preparing my the PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.